girl Nicole in her pajamas as usual. I'm gonna wash my face. So that's what I'm gonna wash my face. So that's what we're gonna do. Dude, me and my husband just watched this really cool show on Netflix, you guys. I wish I had watched the first 2 episodes. It was like kind of a scary movie, but not scary. God, what was it called? Something about Fear Street, and it's about this girl from back in the day when they thought there was like witches and stuff. Hey, for you, I dig. What's up? Renee, right? Hey, everybody, come on in. So, you guys, I've noticed, and I know this is what's going on. TikTok's not letting y'all see my stuff. Okay? The last, 10 videos I've made have barely gotten, a couple thousand views. So, all of you guys that follow me, there's almost 100,000 of you guys, are not seeing my content at all. It's really fucking discouraging, dude. It makes me upset because I work so hard because I want to make videos that you guys want to see, and then TikTok isn't showing them to you guys. Hey, Aiden, thank you. So I used to think people were just making it up when they would say that they were shadow banned, but I actually believe it now. I believe that it's happening because there's no way a person with 100,000 followers, I should at least get 10,000 views per video, which is 10% of my following should watch my videos. You know what I'm saying? I had a good day. So when not even 10% of my following is watching my videos, that's suspicious. Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious. For those of you guys that are new to my TikTok, I uploaded a couple of videos from when I first started making TikTok videos to kind of share with you guys a little bit about my story and why I'm on TikTok and why I'm trying to share and help people. Yes, I did see it, Mackenzie. That one where she was being angry. Yes, I did see it. And I watched a girl on here on TikTok that does lawyer stuff, and she always breaks down the stuff that's going on with the legal stuff. But I hope she gets free from that conservatorship. So what we're going to do, I'm washing my face, and then we're going to go downstairs and we're going to do the next chapter in the big book. So for those of you guys that missed it, last night we had a really awesome AA, an AA meeting, basically. Only, it's for everybody, not just alcoholics. And so, is that what y'all want to do, or y'all want to do, or do you guys want to ask me some questions and I'll answer them? What do you guys want to talk about tonight on this live stream? Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious. So y'all let me know what y'all want to talk about tonight, and whatever it is, that's what we'll do. Okay? So as you guys can see, my face is breaking out. So you know what that means. It's fixing to be my time of the month. Anytime I start breaking out like I am right now, that's what it is. Because I usually have no problems with my skin, but look, all that's period breakout. So yeah, if you guys are in recovery, or if you're not in recovery and you want to come on in and do talk about recovery and learn about recovery, I will, that's what we're gonna do. Also, I changed my bio up. So for those of you guys that don't know, I do recovery coaching, and I would love for you guys to join our little we have like a little crew, okay? So we have, it's me, Micah, Caitlin, Axel, Brenda, who else is in there? And we're all like, you know, they're the people I'm working one-on-one with, and we have our own little group chat. And so if you guys want to do recovery coaching, then the link is in my bio if y'all are interested. Ooh, it burns. Ooh, that burned. Okay, let's get the rest of that on so we can go do that oil that I put under my eyes. That's not an oil. It's a caffeine serum. This right here. It is a caffeine solution, and it helps with puffiness and discoloration underneath the eyes. Okay, this is a glycolic acid and vitamin C serum, and then we're going to go on top of it with vitamin C suspension. Vitamin C suspension. Ooh, that's too much. My bad. Yeah, I put that on every night underneath my eyes. Hey Tara, what's up, girl? So that's what we're gonna do tonight. It's gonna be just like we're having a meeting, you guys. So if you've never been to like an AA or an NA meeting, you stick around and hang out. We're gonna learn together. Okay, so the chapter that we read last night was There is a Solution, okay? And then tonight, we're gonna read more about alcoholism. And remember, whenever I say alcohol, I mean drugs and alcohol. I'm just reading out of the big book. And it's, you know, it's talking about alcoholism, but it's the same thing. You know, drugs and alcohol are the same thing. And so, and as we read and do the chapter together, it's fun. For those of you guys that were in there last night, you'll see I like share my stories and while we're reading, and I try to make it like an enjoyable little class. If you can't do it with us tonight, that's okay, because I upload the videos. Yeah, girl, I upload the videos onto YouTube at night for those of you guys that can't make it to the live. So I just wanted to do my skincare, and then now we're going to go down and do our class. Okay, together we learn together. And you know, some people can't get to a meeting, and some people feel like they don't fit in at a meeting, and some people are on Suboxone or Methadone, and maybe they have been told they can't go to the meeting, which is not true. But you know, there's people out there that do that. So why not just bring the meeting to TikTok? So yes, I know I look like a scrub, but that's okay. Because we are going to be learning together. And this is what, so just so you guys know, my sponsor, she is the one who taught me all the things that I know about recovery. Okay, and so we would do these meeting classes together with her, and then my other sisters in the recovery. Like, when you have a sponsor family, you have like the sponsor, and then what the hell? There are worms coming in my back door, y'all. Hold on, let me get some water. When you have a sponsor, you have a sponsor, and then you have a brand sponsor, which is your sponsor, and then you have whoever your sponsors are your brothers and sisters in your sponsor family. And so what we would do is it would be me, my sponsor, and all of the people that she sponsored. We would all come together for a meeting like this, and we would do big book studies together. And so that's what we're doing tonight, big book study. Okay? Okay. And it'll be fun. It's kind of hard to understand the big book because it's old school. The language that they use in the big book is like from the 1940s or some shit. And so, but we'll make it fun. You'll see. Okay. So like I said, last night we did There is a Solution. Okay. basically what There Is a Solution is about is it's basically sharing with you guys. It helps you to understand if you're an addict or an alcoholic, right? I don't have the NA basic text anymore. I used to have it, but honestly, like I feel like AA is where it all began, and so it's just the same thing. Like you'll see what I'm saying. And also, like I've read the NA basic text. I used to have it. I actually sent the book to one of my friends because she needed it. But in the NA basic text, it talks a lot about like it talks about abstinence, and I don't know, it just seems more like rigid than AA. I feel like AA is a lot more open to multiple pathways, to people that are, you know, using medical marijuana or kratom or medication assisted treatment. And so that's why I work in the Alcoholics Anonymous 12 steps. If I could choose, if I could do it my way, you guys, there would be a Mara big book, and I would be working out of that. But this one is, AA is what aligns with my beliefs the most. That's why I do it. But I wish there was a Mara big book. Now, one of my girls, her name's Nicole, she did show me a book. She took a picture of it. I can't remember what the name of it is, but she said that it's a lot. That's what they've been working out of in the Mara meetings, is this one book. And so I think I'll probably order that book and do that instead. But for right now, all I have is the Alcoholics Anonymous big book. So There's a Solution. What it does is it talks to you about, you know, it's basically helping you decide whether or not you're an alcoholic or an addict, It shows you what the different kind of addicts are. I'll go ahead and do like a quick refresh. Like, we learned about the 3 different stages of alcoholism/addiction, which is the moderate user, okay, the binge user, and the real addict, okay? They put them into categories in this book. And what they mean by real addict is that's like a person who, when they pick up a drink or a drug, like they cannot control themselves at all. A moderate addict is somebody who picks up a drink or a drug but can put it down and walk away. And then a binge addict is somebody who like binges on the weekends, like really big for like two days, and then doesn't get high for like 6 months. You know what I'm saying? And so we learned about that. We also learned about how in our brains, once we take drugs and alcohol into our body, our brains, what happens is alcohol and drugs hijack a person's brain that has the disease of addiction. Okay, so what we learned about is that because of using drugs and alcohol for so many years, our brains, right, have been chemically altered. Our brains have been changed. And so that's why you see some people, they never get sober. They never get better, because they struggle so much with getting back to that place where their brain was before drugs and alcohol. That's why you see a lot of people like me complaining about like not having no motivation, being tired all the time, because like our brains have been chemically altered from drugs. And some people's may not ever get back, and that's what we're working towards constantly, is to heal our brains. And that's why we're doing like recovery meetings, helping each other, and that's what helps your brain neuro pathways to connect again. But it's so difficult, and it takes years and years, just like it took us, 15 years in active addiction. We also learned about euphoric recall. So some of you guys might not know what I'm talking about, but euphoric recall is when your brain only remembers the good times when you were drinking and using. Okay, your brain cannot, it's like automatic. Like, let's say you're out at a friend's house and somebody's drinking alcohol, especially in early recovery. Instead of going, oh, I can't drink alcohol because the last time I drank, I wrecked my car and got a DWI. For a lot of people, that doesn't happen, and that's what that euphoric recall is. Euphoric recall is when your brain only remembers the good times, the good feelings that drugs and alcohol gave us, the fun that we had, So let me just read. This is my favorite part in this big book. It says, the fact is that most alcoholics or addicts, for reasons yet obscure, so these reasons are just like we don't even know, have lost the power of choice and drink. or using. Our so-called willpower becomes practically non-existent. We are unable at certain times to bring into our consciousness with sufficient force the memory of suffering and humiliation of even a week or a month ago. We are without defense against the first drink or drug. So basically what it's telling us is that we cannot pick up a drink or a drug. If we put a drink or a drug in our brain, in our body, automatically our brain does not remember, hey, this is not good for me. It's like muscle memory for your brain. And that's why when people say things like addiction is a choice, I get so angry, you guys, because it's a disease of the mind. It is a disorder of the brain. After so many years of drinking and using drugs, right? It affects your brain. And so some of us, like I said, never get sober. So in order to not drink and use, we have to connect, okay? What's the opposite of addiction? Connection. Connection with a power greater than yourself. It could be anything that you believe in. God, Buddha, the universe, nature. I don't know what kind of different religions there are, but different, higher powers, spirituality, whatever that you believe in. But in order to have a defense against drinking and using, we have to be connected. And it starts out with connecting through fellowship with each other. And then through fellowshipping with each other and learning from one another, learning from somebody that's went through the program before, learning from somebody that, can share their experience, strength, and hope with you, then you start being able to share with somebody else, and you start learning about connecting with your power, right? Whatever that power may be. And for people that are like super, super duper against like believing in God, that power is within you, okay? You are the power. We just have to tap into that inside of ourselves. And I don't want any of you guys to think that you have to go out and be saved or go to church to get sober, because that's not true, okay? But you have to find some connection. You have to dig deep within you, okay? And you also have to start like learning why you were drinking and using, because a lot of people, they say, oh, I started using, it was peer pressure, or I was dating a guy, and there's more to it than that, you know what I mean? So that's a little synopsis on what I felt like we learned. We learned that there is a solution, and that the solution is in this book right here, and connecting, like I said, spiritually with a power greater than yourself, and working with others, praying and meditating, reading your literature, going to meetings. All these things are part of the plan, right? These are all things that help you. I have a question. On the D word, did you ever feel like nothing feels real or you don't understand? Well, hell yeah. Okay. Now, let's go into the next chapter. Y'all ready? Let's go. And I'll stop and we'll talk about it as we go. I have so many notes, you guys, from when I've gone through this. I have my little tabs, everything. Okay. More about alcoholism. So when I say alcohol, I'm going to say drugs, okay? Because I know most of us are addicts. So more about addiction. Most of us have been unwilling to admit we were real addicts or alcoholics. No person likes to think he is bodily and mentally different from his fellows. So let's stop right there. So most of us are unwilling to admit that we really have a problem. We don't want to think, oh, well, it's what's wrong with me. Everybody else is regular and I'm the one who has a problem, It's hard to accept that you have alcoholism or the disease of addiction. And a lot of us try to not accept it. And that's why we continue using drugs and alcohol even when we're getting all these negative consequences, right? We're going to jail. Our family members are disappointed in us. We're wrecking our cars. We're not going to work and losing jobs. Relationships are ruined because of our drinking and our using, but we don't admit it because we don't want to admit it, because when you admit it, that's when it's like, damn, now I got to do something about it. When you're in that denial stage, it's because you're not ready to do anything about it yet. Okay, here we go. Therefore, it is not surprising that our drinking and using careers have been characterized by countless vain attempts to prove we could drink and use like other people. The idea that somehow, someday, we will control and enjoy our drinking and using is the great obsession of every abnormal drinker or user. The persistence of this illusion is astonishing. Many pursue it into the gates of insanity or death. Damn, that's a lot in the first paragraph, huh? So basically, what it's telling us is that we will keep trying to prove that we can drink and use without fucking our lives up. I'll give you some examples that will help you to understand what they're saying. So, we can start with my story, okay? The first real negative consequence that I had from my drinking and using was when I was in high school. I wasn't even 18 years old yet, and I got suspended, in-school suspension from cheering at the basketball games. Do you want to know why? Because I was shit-faced drunk cheering and had no bloomers on and was doing toe touches and flashing my badge to God and everybody, okay? At 17 years old. I'm already getting consequences because of my drinking, okay? Already the consequences are starting to happen. I graduate high school. I start working a job. I lose my first job. I get fired. Why? Because I'm selling shit out the JCPenney so I can get free methamphetamine. Come and get your free clothes, free shoes. I gotta get my meth. Okay? So already, I haven't even been addicted for a year, and I'm already reaping the consequences of my addiction. That is how bad it was from the very beginning, okay? And if you guys are honest with yourselves and you look back to when you first started drinking or using, you will be able to pick out these situations also. You know, I hear a lot of people who are like, oh, I drank and I used and I went to college and I worked a full-time job. There are consequences. You experienced something that was negative due to your drinking and using. Whether it been like the deterioration of a relationship with your parents or your boyfriend or girlfriend, whether it been like you're showing up late to work and nobody knows why, but deep down inside, you know why. You know that the night before you stayed up all night long drinking and getting fucked up. So, what they're saying is, it is our obsession. It's addicts and alcoholics' obsession to try and beat the disease, to try and prove that we're different than all the others, right? I'm the one addict that can get high on the weekends and only do it on the weekends, which is ludicrous to think, because I know without a shadow of a doubt that I cannot pick up a drink or a drug. But when I was in my active addiction, I would constantly flirt with that idea that I could just have one more, you know, and that's what they're talking about in this book. They're letting us know, like, the persistence of addicts and alcoholics chasing this fever dream of being able to use successfully, you will do that until you die if you don't get sober. You will follow your alcoholism and addiction till you're dead. Okay, so we learned that we had to fully concede to our innermost selves that we were alcoholics or addicts or both. This is the first step in recovery. So I underlined that in here because that's step one. Step one is fully conceding to our innermost selves that we have addiction, that we're addicts, right? Until we can admit and accept that we have a problem, then we can't heal from it. You know, you can't say, oh, well, I'm not an addict or alcoholic, but I'm still going to get sober and get better. Like, it's just not going to work, right? Part of that healing process is admitting and accepting that we have a problem and then getting help for it. Okay, the delusion that we are like other people or presently may be has to be smashed. We alcoholics and addicts are men and women who have lost the ability to control our drinking and using. We know that no real alcoholic ever regains control. Okay, so someone who truly has the disease of addiction will never be able to drink and use successfully, ever. And you can tempt fate and go back and forth and keep sticking your toe in that hot water, keep like we talked about last night, keep going over to the stove and sitting your hand on the damn burner, thinking it's not going to burn you. It's literally madness. It's insanity. But we will do that. We will keep going over there and sticking our hand in a hot fire like we're fucking magicians and we're not going to get burned. You know what I mean? I just got here, Nick. We just got here, so you're good. Okay. We addicts and alcoholics are men and women who have lost the ability to control our using and drinking. We know that no real alcoholic or addict ever recovers control. All of us felt at times that we were regaining control, but such intervals, usually brief, were inevitably followed by still less control, which led in time to pitiful and incomprehensible demoralization. So there will be times where you can pick up a drink or a drug, okay? And you might get high on a Tuesday and say, that's it, I'm never doing it again. And walk away and get yourself back on track and not go back, right? But what happens is that plants that seed in your brain. That gives your brain permission, okay? So then you start taking, I'm just going to use this one time. I did it last time. It wasn't a big deal. You might even escape that time unscathed. Then a third time will come up. And each time what will happen is these times will start getting closer together until they're connecting completely. And you're totally fucking relapsed and strung out and back to square one. Do you know what I'm saying? Because there's times when I was in my active addiction. Hey, Liz. When I was in my active addiction and I would sober up for like 6 to 9 months and I would dabble, right? Stick my toe in and get right back on track. And that would have my mind. My mind would say, I got this. Maybe I'm not an addict. Maybe I'm not an alcoholic. Maybe I can just use on the weekends. And see, it's like I don't want to say the devil, but it's like when you're able to do it and walk away, you get so cocky. You know what I mean? You get like this, like, see, I can use. See, you addicts over there, y'all are tripping. I can get high every now and then. Ain't shit. No, I'm cured. And I'm telling you guys, that fucking shit happens. And then the next thing you know, like I said, you're in a full out relapse and you're not coming back. And that's so hard to come back from it because we get so much shame and we feel so much guilt and we don't want to have to go back and admit, damn, y'all were right. Like, I can't use and drink, you know? And when I do, I fuck up. Okay, so here we go. Pitiful and incomprehensible demoralization. So you know how I do those series here on my TikTok where I talk about desperate times, call for desperate measures? Okay? That is what that incomprehensible demoralization is. That's what I'm talking about. Okay? When I show up at my dope man's house because I have no money and I'm begging him to just front me and he won't front me. So I demoralize myself and I say, it's okay. I'll have sex with you. Or when I go to the mall and I rob the Dillards for all the fucking $200 name brand purses, right? I know what I'm doing is wrong. I know that it's hurting me. I know that it's unhealthy. I know that I don't want to do these things, right? And that's what happens. You just get to a point where it's like survival mode. You're in survival mode, you guys, and that's what happens when we are in our active addiction. Okay, so we are convinced to a man that alcoholics and addicts of our type are in the grip of a progressive illness. So progressive means it gets worse, never better. It's constantly like going forward. Like right now, you guys, I've been sober for 6 years. If I went out tomorrow and picked up a drink or a drug, I would be right back to where I started. I would be right back. I would be right back to slamming Roxy, slamming meth, like it would just pick up right where I left off, being homeless, losing everything, losing my son, all that stuff, okay? And it tells us that. That's what it's telling us. It's telling us that the disease of addiction is progressive. Over any considerable period, we get worse, never better. Damn, took the words right out of my mouth. We are like men who have lost their legs. They never grow new ones. We're never going to get away from having this disease. But what we can do is we can seek treatment and we can do what we're doing now and connecting and learning. This is education. Learning about our disease and learning about how we can get better. And that's how we keep our addiction arrested, right? It's kind of like when a person has cancer and they have chemotherapy and then their cancer is in remission. Like, this is our treatment that helps us keep our disease in remission. So, I'm reading out of the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. Neither does there appear to be any kind of treatment which will make alcoholics of our kind like other men. So there's no cure, okay? There's no cure for the disease of addiction. And it's not going to... One thing I learned when I was in treatment, my counselor would always say, honey, you're a pickle. You can't go back to being a cucumber. And that's what this is saying. This is saying that there's no treatment that's going to take us back to being not an addict, right? So we can't unpickle ourselves. We're pickles now, not cucumbers. Okay. And then it talks about how we have tried every imaginable remedy. In some instances, there has been brief recovery, followed always by a still worse relapse. Physicians who are familiar with alcoholism and addiction agree there is no such thing as making a normal drinker out of an alcoholic. Science may one day accomplish this, but it hasn't been done yet. Despite all we can say, many who are real alcoholics and real addicts are not going to believe they are in that class. Denial. By every form of self-deception and experimentation, they will try to prove themselves exceptions to the rule, therefore non-alcoholic. If anyone is showing inability to control his drinking or using, can do the right about face and drink like a gentleman, our hats are off to him. Heaven knows we have tried hard enough and long enough to drink like other people. Here are some methods we have tried. Okay, so I want you guys to, in the comments, to share ways that you have tried to prove that you're not an addict by altering the things that you did. Let me share. There was a time where I was fucked up on Xanax. I was taking Xanaxes all the time. I ended up crashing my car into a brick wall with my husband in it, and I swore off Xanax. I was like, that's it. It's the benzos. I'm never using benzos again. From now on, I'm just going to get high on meth and do Roxy's, right? There's other times where I switched and said, I'll never drink alcohol. I'm only doing drugs now. Okay, so let me read what the book says. The book says, here are some methods. Drinking beer only, limiting the number of drinks or drugs, never drinking alone, never drinking in the morning. And when I say drinking, I want you to put drugging in the same spot, okay? Never having it in the house, never drinking or using during business hours, drinking and using only at parties, switching from scotch to brandy, or meth to cocaine, or heroin to Roxy's, drinking only natural wines, okay, agreeing to resign if ever drunk on the job or high on the job, taking a trip, not taking a trip, swearing off forever with and without solemn oath, taking more physical exercise, reading inspirational books, going to health farms, rehabs, accepting voluntary commitment to the psych ward. We could increase the list to infinitum. We do not like to pronounce any individual as an addict or alcoholic, but you can quickly diagnose yourself. You hear that? So nobody else can diagnose you with that. You have to make that choice. Step over to the nearest bar room, the nearest liquor store, and try some controlled drinking. Try to drink and stop abruptly. I'm not telling you guys to do this. I'm reading what the book says. Try more than once. It will not take long for you to decide if you are honest with yourself about it. It may be worth a bad case of the jitters if you get a full knowledge of your condition, okay? You have to get honest with yourself, all right? That is what I had to do. Let me share with you guys what happened to me. I've been sober for 6 years, and when I came onto TikTok, all these people were talking about medical marijuana and how it was helping them with their depression and their anxiety. And so, against my better judgment, I tried medical marijuana, okay? And I tried medical marijuana, and what happened with me in medical marijuana is exactly what happened with me in any kind of drug. I would take it and take it and take it and take it, chasing the high, chasing that stoned feeling. And so I had to get honest with myself. What are my motives behind taking this medication? It started out that my motives were trying to get relief from my depression and my anxiety. But then it quickly migrated into, I want to feel the stoned feeling. And you guys, I'm telling you right now, that's why I worry about people in early recovery who are trying all these different things. Because I know at 6 years sober, it was hard for me to call my own self out. It was hard for me to step back and say, hey, this is not good for me. This is going to be a problem. This is going to prohibit me from being able to move forward in recovery. This is going to stunt my emotional growth, right? My recovery growth. And so I know if I struggled with that, then people who have, a year, 6 months, whatever, sober, that are trying kratom, medical marijuana, any kind of supplements or pills that give them a feeling, a good feeling, it can become an issue super fast. So the number one thing that you have got to do when getting sober is you have to get honest with yourself. And honesty is so important. If you cannot be honest about what you're doing with yourself and your body and your recovery, then you're going to keep on falling back. Like, the honest thing is, I wanted to feel stoned. I wanted to feel that feeling. And I was honest, and that's what saved me, because if I had continued doing that, it surely would have led me back to something else. I know it would have. So it may be worth, though there is no way of proving it, we believe that early in our drinking and using careers, most of us could have stopped drinking. But the difficulty is that few alcoholics have enough desire to stop while there is yet time. Right? So a lot of us, when we first started drinking and using, we probably could have stopped and never looked back. For instance, I have a young lady who reached out to me and we're doing recovery coaching together. She's only 21 years old and she's struggling with cocaine. Okay? She is at the point where she can turn this around and it won't turn into an addiction. It won't turn into a issue of her ruining her life. She's at that stage where she can take it or leave it, and it's not running her life. She doesn't have the mental obsession. Do you know what I'm saying? I was at a point like that when I first started getting high too. But when you're first getting high, you don't have the self-awareness to say, this isn't good for me. I don't need to do this. You know what I mean? And if you do, thank your lucky stars, because you're saving yourself from a whole world of fucking trauma and trouble. I wish that I had seen what I was doing to myself early on, and I would have stopped, man. I would have not taken myself down the road that I did. You know what I mean? But if you're here and you're young and you've just started dabbling with drugs and alcohol, please listen to what I'm saying. You still have time, man. You can turn this around. You can drop it, right? You can drop it and never go back to that. And it will be the best thing you ever did. But like I said, it says right here, it's when we have the opportunity to stop, we're not really interested in stopping, But it says, we have heard of a few instances where people who showed definite signs of addiction were able to stop for a long period because of an overpowering desire to do so. Here is one. So we're about to read an example. So listen up. Here's the story. A man of 30 was doing a great deal of spree drinking. So he was just going on benders, partying, probably getting off work, drinking a whole bunch, all that good stuff. He was very nervous in the morning after these bouts and quieted himself with more liquor. So he was having the shakes every morning. He was ambitious to succeed in business, but saw that he would get nowhere if he drank. Once he started, he had no control whatsoever. He made up his mind that until he had been successful in business and had retired, he would not touch another drop. An exceptional man, he remained bone dry for 25 years. Didn't drink or use drugs for 25 years. And listen, do you hear the bone dry? I want you to keep that dry word in your mind. It's important. Okay? And he retired at the age of 55 after a successful and happy business career. Then he fell victim to a belief, which practically every addict and alcoholic has, that his long period of sobriety and self-discipline had qualified him to drink like other people do. Out came his carpet slippers and a bottle of booze. In 2 months, he was in a hospital, puzzled and humiliated. He tried to regulate his drinking for a while, making several trips to the hospital. Then, gathering all his forces, he attempted to stop altogether and found that he could not stop. Every means of solving his problem which money could buy was at his disposal. Every attempt failed. So he could go to a nice rehab. He had money. He could do whatever he wanted to do to get sober, okay? But everything failed. Though a robust man at retirement, he went to pieces quickly and was dead within 4 years. So he died. He died. Well, the key to this whole story is the dry. For those 25 years that he did not drink and use, he did nothing to expand his spiritual connection. He was not working on like staying diligent in recovery. He just stopped drinking. Okay, and he was able to stay stopped for 25 years, but he was doing nothing to work on the inside. So when the time came that he was retired and having a good life, and he was like, I deserve it. I can just have a couple of beers, right? When the time came, he fell to the delusion that he could drink, and he did it. And guess what happened? He's dead now. Dead. Okay? He did nothing in those 25 years to heal himself, okay? This case contains a powerful lesson. Most of us have believed that if we remained sober for a long stretch, we could thereafter drink normally. But here is a man who at 55 years found he was just where he had left off at 30. Picked up where he left off. We have seen the truth demonstrated again and again. Once an addict, always an addict. Commencing to drink after a period of sobriety or use after a period of sobriety, we are in short time as bad as ever. If we are planning to stop drinking, there must be no reservation of any kind, nor any lurking notion that someday we will be immune to alcohol. So right there, that's really important too. Okay, so if you're planning on getting sober, you guys, from drugs or alcohol or both, whatever, I say both, because if you're like me, you don't need to be doing either one. You have to smash the reservations. What's a reservation? A reservation is exactly what it sounds like. Somebody's holding your spot. You called ahead of time to the Alcoholics Anonymous meeting and said, hey, yeah, I'm gonna need y'all to hold me a seat because I know I'm gonna be there in like 2 years after I get started drinking. You're holding a spot, right? You still want to drink and use. You still think you'll be able to one day. You still think that you're going to be able to control your disease and it's not going to control you, right? Okay, so young people may be encouraged by this man's experience to think that they can stop, as he did, on their own willpower. We doubt if many of them can do it, because none will really want to stop, and hardly one of them because of the peculiar mental twist already acquired, will find he can win out. Several of our crowd, men of 30 or less, had been drinking only a few years, but they found themselves as helpless as those who had been drinking and using for 20 years. To be gravely affected, one does not necessarily have to drink or use a long time, nor take the quantities as some of us. This is particularly true of women. Potential female addicts and alcoholics often turn into the real thing and are gone beyond recall in a few years. So women, it's talking about women being more susceptible to falling into alcoholism and addiction. Okay? Certain drinkers who would be greatly insulted if called alcoholics or addicts are astonished at their inability to stop. Okay? We who are familiar with the symptoms see large numbers of potential addicts and alcoholics among young people everywhere, but try and get them to see it. As we look back, we feel we had gone on drinking many years beyond the point where we could quit on our own willpower. If anyone questions whether he has entered this dangerous area, Let him try leaving drugs and alcohol alone for 1 year. If he is a real addict or alcoholic and very far advanced, there is scant chance of his success. So if you're a real addict or alcoholic and you want to see if you are, try to stop drinking and using for a year and see what happens. There's scant chance. In the early days of our drinking and using, we occasionally remain sober for a year or more, becoming serious drinkers again later. Though you may be able to stop for a considerable period, you may yet be a potential alcoholic. We think few to whom this book will appeal can stay dry anything like a year. Some will be drunk the day after making their resolutions, most of them within a few weeks. Okay? So if you can stop, it's not that doesn't mean that you might not be an alcoholic or a drug addict. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people in the beginning of their addiction can stop, right? Like this was saying that some people can stop at the beginning. But as your disease progresses, it's unlikely. Okay. Hey girl. Hey Ray. Ray, I'm so happy that you found treatment, girl. Congratulations. Ray's going to treatment tomorrow, y'all. For those who are unable to drink moderately or use moderately, the question is how to stop altogether. We are assuming, of course, that the reader desires to stop. So right now we're going to start talking about how to stop. And so if y'all are interested in learning, let's hear it. Whether such a person can quit upon a non-spiritual basis depends on the extent to which he has already lost the power to choose whether he will drink or not. Okay? So if you want to recover from the disease of addiction without spiritual basis, it depends on how far gone you have gotten, how far down the pathway you are, right? How much you have lost the power to choose, right? Many of us felt that we had plenty of character. There was a tremendous urge to cease forever, yet we found it impossible. This is the baffling feature of addiction as we know it. This utter inability to leave it alone, no matter how great the necessity or wish. How then shall we help our readers determine to their own satisfaction whether they are one of us? The experiment of quitting for a period of time will be helpful, but we think we can render an even greater service to the alcoholic and addict sufferers, and perhaps to the medical fraternity. So we shall describe some of the mental states that precede a relapse into drinking, for obviously this is the crux of the problem. What sort of thinking dominates an alcoholic who repeats time after time the desperate experiment of the first drink? Friends who have reasoned with him after a spree which has brought him to the point of divorce or bankruptcy are mystified when he walks directly into the bar. Why does he? Of what is he thinking? Okay, so he's lost his job, he's getting a divorce, and he still goes back to the liquor. He still goes back to the drug. How many of us have done that? I went to prison. Okay, I went to prison behind methamphetamine, and my ass got out of prison, relapsed, and was back on methamphetamine. Okay, my child got taken away from me, right? And I relapsed in the treatment center. Let me just tell you guys this. When that happened, when I relapsed in the treatment center and they caught me, it was probably like 2 nights after they caught me where I had a total, the only way I can tell you is that it was like this. I was in my room praying to God to please help me change, to take the desire from me to drink and use. I couldn't sleep for 2 weeks because every time I would close my eyes, I would see my son's little head. And I was begging God to please help me change the way I think, help me change my perception. Why do I have this want to drink and use? Why are my priorities skewed, right? And in that 2 days that I was in my room crying at night, praying and praying and praying, something happened. Something happened to me that I cannot explain to you whatsoever. But it was a spiritual experience. It was a moment of clarity. It was like self-awareness rushed in, and I realized that I was ruining my son's life and that he wasn't even 2 years old, and I was ruining my son's life. Not only was I affecting myself, but I was affecting my child and my family and everybody around me. And I had never had such a heavy feeling of conviction. That's what happened. Something came over me and it convicted me. It made me realize that I was ruining my life and everybody around me, and that I had to make a change. The conviction was so on. It was so powerful to me. And you guys know, like, I'm not a religious person. I believe in God, but like, I can't explain it to you any other way than that it was conviction. And from that day forward, that conviction has kept me sober. You know what I mean? That conviction has kept me on the right path to staying clean and sober. If I hadn't, that experience is what changed me, because I wouldn't be here today if I didn't have that experience, because I would have relapsed. I cannot explain it to you any other way than that. It was like a wake-up call. It was like everything before me was so clear, and I could see, and I understood like what I was doing to myself. Like I didn't get it for the longest time. I didn't see it. My perception was so skewed. I always felt like everybody was out to get me, and that people were trying to hurt me. And when this clarity moment happened for me, it was like everything all came to make sense. And I realized that no one was against me. I was hurting myself. No one abandoned me. I abandoned myself. All these things, you guys, finally, it was like I was able to take responsibility, because for so many years I had shifted that responsibility. I had not taken accountability for my actions, and that's why I couldn't stay sober. That's why I kept relapsing, because I was stuck in this like other dimension of fucking like I can't explain it to you any other way than it's like a fog where you're in this other dimension. Like and everything was made so much sense about how addiction was affecting me, and it was like that's what made me want to say, you know what, I'm doing this. And it changed my life. That was the day that my life changed forever. Okay, so here we go. Let's read about Jim, okay? Oh, I got an itch. Ooh. Hold on, guys. I got an itch. Oh, God. Okay. Our first example is a friend we shall call Jim. This man has a charming wife and family. This reminds me of my husband. Listen. He inherited a lucrative automobile agency. He had a commendable World War record. He is a good salesman. Everybody likes him. He is an intelligent man, normal so far as we can see, except for a nervous disposition. He did no drinking until he was 35. In a few years, he became so violent when intoxicated that he had to be committed. On leaving the rehab, he came into contact with us. Okay, here's Jim. Let's talk about it. Okay, so we told him what we knew about addiction and the answer we had found. He made a beginning. His family was reassembled, and he began to work as a salesman for the business he had lost through drinking. All went well for a time. But he failed to enlarge his spiritual life. Okay? This is so important, you guys. This is so important. This is why a lot of people fall back, because they don't ever connect. To his consternation, he found himself drunk half a dozen times in rapid succession. On each of these occasions, we worked with him, reviewing carefully what had happened. He agreed he was a real alcoholic and in a serious condition. He knew he faced another trip to the rehab if he kept on. Moreover, he would lose his family for whom he had deep affection. So he has admitted that he has addiction. He's a real addict. He's a real alcoholic. He knows that if he keeps going on like he is, he's going to go to rehab again. He's going to lose his family, his kids, his business, everything. Okay? Yet, he gets drunk again. We asked him to tell us exactly how it happened. This is his story. Okay, guys, this is his story of why he got drunk again. Y'all ready? I came to work on Tuesday morning. I remember I felt irritated that I had to be a salesman for a concern I once owned. So he's already restless, irritable, and discontent about the fact that he has to work for the business that he used to own. I had a few words with the boss, but nothing serious. Then I decided to drive into the country and see one of my prospects for a car. On the way, I felt so hungry, I stopped at a roadside place where they have a bar. I had no intention of drinking. I just thought I would get a sandwich. I also had the notion that I might find a customer for a car at this place, which was familiar, for I had been going to it for years. First of all, he was not being grateful. He was ungrateful that he had a job. Even though he used to own the place, at least he had a job. So he went into the day with an ungrateful heart, right? Complaining about having to work for a place that he used to own. Then he stepped out of his normal everyday duty, and he went driving into the country to look for somebody, right? So it's all coming together. I had eaten there many times during the months I was sober. I sat down at a table and ordered a sandwich and a glass of milk. Still no thought of drinking. I ordered another sandwich and decided to have another glass of milk. Suddenly, the thought crossed my mind that if I were to put an ounce of whiskey in my milk, it couldn't hurt me on a full stomach. I ordered a whiskey and poured it into the milk. I vaguely sensed I was not being any too smart, but felt reassured as I was taking the whiskey on a full stomach. The experiment went so well that I ordered another whiskey and poured it into the milk. That didn't seem to bother me, so I tried another. Thus started one more journey to the asylum for Jim, to the rehab for Jim. Here was the threat of commitment, the loss of family and position, to say nothing of that intense mental and physical suffering which drinking always caused him. He had much knowledge about himself as an alcoholic, yet all reasons for not drinking were easily pushed aside in favor of the foolish idea that he could take whiskey if only he mixed it with milk. Whatever the precise definition of the word may be, we call this plain insanity. How can such a lack of proportion of the ability to think straight be called anything else? So, he went into work, like you guys said, he wasn't thinking about drinking, but he started the day out on the wrong foot in the first place with an attitude of being ungrateful, right? Then he stepped out of his norm and went into the country and, stopped at a bar to eat something. Still, he's okay. The moment that idea popped into his head, hey, I can put some whiskey in my milk. The minute that thought came, what should he have done? The minute that thought came into his mind, he should have picked up the phone and called his sponsor. The moment that thought came into his mind, he should have started snitching on his addiction. Okay? The moment that thought came into his mind, he should have said, hey, I want to get my check, I'm going to pay, and I'm going to be out of here. Okay? And he should have left. He should have connected with another alcoholic or addict. He should have snitched on himself, right? Praying is good also. Those are all great things that you guys can do. But the thing that I find helps me the most is that I have to remove myself from the situation, right? And I have to start getting it out of me. What is going on inside of me that's making me think it's okay to take some whiskey, right? What's going on? Okay, so we know that Jim was struggling that day. He was having a bad day. He felt shitty about having to work for a place that he used to own. I got sober in 2015, July 13th. So let me see. Heather. Hey, Heather. You're welcome, girl. Thank you for coming. Thank you for saying that. Trigger, thought, obsession, use. Exactly, Luna. You're learning. Awesome. Yes. Okay, so he woke up that morning and he was triggered, right? He was triggered because he had to work for a place that he used to own. And instead of getting up and when you guys, you think that it's that people don't want to hear when you're struggling, or you think that you're bothering somebody when you reach out to them when something like this is going on, but you're not. You're not. This is what we're all here for each other for, to help one another. And this is what, you know what? This is what helps me stay sober, is being of service to others and helping other addicts and alcoholics when they're struggling. And you know what? It always helps me whenever I can get outside of myself and talk with another person. You know what I mean? And be aware. You can pray. You can call your sponsor or your mentor, your accountability partner, talk about how you are feeling, and you guys can do a little prayer, a little meditation together. You know, there's a little prayer that I say all the time. I think it's like the 3rd step prayer, but it's like, take my will in my life, guide me in my recovery, and show me how to live clean and serene. I learned that like way back in the day when I went to my first like meeting. But that's just like a little thing that you can kind of chant in your mind to help give you strength, you know? But the moment when we think those kind of things, you guys, and we start putting that thought into action, you know, like, damn, it's like he was already in action mode. He was already in, you know, obsession and then use mode. So that's what happened to Jim. Okay, so you may think this is an extreme case. To us, it is not far-fetched, for this kind of thinking has been characteristic of every single one of us. We have sometimes reflected more than Jim did upon the consequences. That is why, you guys, I use my consequences to help me stay sober. Okay, a lot of people ask me, they say, Nicole, why do you talk about your son getting taken away from you? Hey, Leslie, I hope I'm doing a good job. For those of you guys that have been sober like 30 years, I hope you guys, I'm doing the best I can. And I think, you know, I know there's probably some old timers in here that are like, what does she think she's doing? But like, my heart is just wanting to help people. And I don't think I know it all. I'm always trying to learn. And I hope you guys see that, you know, I'm trying to help people. And I think I'm doing okay. But this is what helped me. Doing these big book studies and learning about the disease of addiction is what has helped me to stay sober. This is how I've maintained sobriety, is by learning about my disease. It's so important. Knowledge is power. If you want to fight back against your disease, you have to know about it. You have to learn about it, okay? Okay, so let's read some more. It says, you may think this is an extreme case. To us, it is not far-fetched, for this kind of thinking has been characteristic of every single one of us. We have sometimes reflected more than Jim did upon the consequences. That's what I do. I reflect. You can get this book off of Amazon. It's called The Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous. You can go to alcoholicsanonymous.com, and I think you can order them there too. It says, some of us have reflected more on our consequences. That is what I do, okay? So one of my coping skills that helps me stay sober is reflecting on the consequences of my addiction, on the things that happened that were bad, okay? Because I'm a forgetter. Hey, Jules, I am a forgetter. And that is why I relapsed for so many years, because I've always gotten to a point like with 6 months, 9 months sober, and then I will forget. Like, I'll think just like Jim does, well, I've been sober for 6 months. I can just like do one line or just take a pill and it won't be bad, right? And that's what happens. And that's why I tell you guys, euphoric recall. Only think of the good times you have on drugs and alcohol. You have to think about the worst. You have to think about the consequences of your actions. That will help you. But there was always the curious mental phenomenon that, parallel with our sound reasoning, there inevitably ran some insanely trivial excuse for taking the first drink or drug. Our sound reasoning failed to hold us in check. The insane idea won out. Next day, we would ask ourselves in all earnestness and sincerity how it could have happened. No, there's an AA and an AA and an NA. In some circumstances, we have gone out deliberately to get drunk or use, feeling ourselves justified by nervousness, anger, worry, depression, jealousy, or the like. But even in this type of beginning, we are obliged to admit that our justification for a spree was insanely insufficient in the light of what always happened. We now see that when we begin to drink and use deliberately instead of casually, there was little serious or effective thought during the period of premeditation of what the terrific consequences may be. Play the tape all the way through, okay? This is my play the tape all the way through paragraph, okay? If you're thinking like, I'm going to go out and get high, or I can't do this anymore, fuck it, I'm relapsing, right? I want you guys to rewind your tape, okay? Rewind your tape to where you relapsed, you picked up a drink or a drug and you went to prison, or you relapsed and you picked up a drink or a drug and you lost custody of your kids, or you relapsed and picked up a drink or a drug. It's so important, you guys, to remember these consequences. Did that fall in my water? Sorry, I'm trying to kill a fly. It's not easy either to remind yourself. This is a training thing. You have to train your brain, you guys, to remember these things, okay? And also, that's why it's important to not just rely on yourself for support, because there's going to be time where, like it said in the beginning, and there is a solution, where it says that we can't bring into our mind the memory of a week or a month ago, right? And so that would be a situation where we can't pull into our minds the consequences. And so having somebody that we can connect with and talk to that can help us, help us remember. So play the tape all the way through. Our behavior is absurd and incomprehensible with respect to the first drink, as that of an individual with a passion, say, for jaywalking. He gets a thrill out of skipping in front of fast-moving vehicles. He enjoys himself for a few years in spite of friendly warnings. Up to this point, you would label him as a foolish chap, having queer ideas of fun. Luck then deserts him, and he is slightly injured several times in succession. You would expect him, if he were normal, to cut it out. This is exactly what it's like having the disease of addiction. It's like having a fucking disease to do jaywalking. A normal person would stop jaywalking when they get hit by a car, right? A normal person would stop getting fucked up, high and drunk, when they go to prison. A normal person would stop getting high and drunk when they lose custody of their kids. A normal person would stop getting high and drunk when they lose their relationship with their husband or wife because of their addiction or alcoholism. A normal person would stop getting high or drunk, okay, when they get fired from their job, right? But we are not normal. We have the disease. Okay. You would expect him, if he were normal, to cut it out. Presently, he is hit again, and this time has a fractured skull. Within a week after leaving the hospital, a fast-moving trolley car breaks his arm. He tells you he has decided to stop jaywalking for good, but in a few weeks, he breaks both legs. On through the years, this conduct continues, accompanied by his continual promise to be careful or to keep off the streets altogether. Finally, he can no longer work. His wife gets a divorce and he is held up to ridicule. He tries every known means to get the jaywalking idea out of his head. This is the obsession. He shuts himself up in a rehab, hoping to mend his ways. But the day he comes out, he races in front of a fire engine, which breaks his back. Such a man would be crazy, wouldn't he? It doesn't sound crazy to me. Sounds just like me. You may think our illustration is too ridiculous, but is it? We who have been through the ringer have to admit, if we substitute alcohol for jaywalking, the illustration would fit us exactly. However intelligent we may have been in other respects, where alcohol and drugs are involved, we have been strangely insane. It's strong language, but isn't it true? Some of you are thinking, yes, what you tell us is true, but it doesn't fully apply. We admit we have some of these symptoms, but we have not gone to the extremes you fellows did, nor are we likely to, for we understand ourselves so well after what you have told us that such things cannot happen again. We have not lost everything in life through drinking and using, and we certainly do not intend to. Thanks for the information. This is called the Yets. You're eligible too, sweetie. That may be true of certain non-alcoholic people who, though drinking foolishly and heavily at the present time, are able to stop or moderate because their brains and bodies have not been damaged as ours were. But the actual or potential addict or alcoholic with hardly an exception will be absolutely unable to stop drinking and using on the basis of self-knowledge. This is a point we wish to emphasize and re-emphasize to smash home upon our addict readers, as it has been revealed to us out of bitter experience. Let us take another illustration. Self-will, willpower. You will try to exercise willpower and let me know how it works out. Here's another example. Fred is partner in a well-known accounting firm. His income is good, he has a fine home, is happily married, and the father of promising children of college age. He has so attractive a personality that he makes friends with everyone. If ever there was a successful businessman, it is Fred. To all appearances, he is a stable, well-balanced individual, yet he is an alcoholic. We first saw Fred about a year ago in a hospital where he had gone to recover from a bad case of the jitters. It was his first experience of this kind, and he was much ashamed of it. Far from admitting he was an alcoholic, he told himself he came to the hospital to rest his nerves. The doctor intimated strongly that he might be worse than he realized. For a few days, he was depressed about his condition. He made up his mind to quit drinking altogether. It never occurred to him that perhaps he could not do so, in spite of his character and standing. Fred would not believe himself an alcoholic, much less accept a spiritual remedy for his problem. We told him what we knew about alcoholism and addiction. He was interested and conceded that he had some of the symptoms, but he was a long way from admitting that he could do nothing about it himself. He was positive that this humiliating experience, plus the knowledge he had acquired, would keep him sober for the rest of his life. We heard no more of Fred for a while. One day we were told that he was back in the hospital. This time he was quite shaky. He soon indicated he was anxious to see us. The story he told us is most instructive, for here was a chap absolutely convinced he had to stop drinking, who had no excuse for drinking, who exhibited splendid judgment and determination in all other concerns, yet he was flat on his back nonetheless. Let him tell you about it. Here's Fred. I was much impressed with what you fellas said about addiction, and I frankly did not believe it would be possible for me to drink again. I rather appreciated your ideas about the subtle insanity which precedes the first drink, but I was confident it could not happen to me after what I had learned. I reasoned I was not so far advanced as most you fellows, that I had been usually successful in licking my other personal problems, and that I would therefore be successful where you men failed. I felt I had every right to be self-confident, that it would be only a matter of exercising my willpower and keeping on guard. In this frame of mind, I went about my business, and for a time all was well. I had no trouble refusing drinks, and began to wonder if I had not been making too hard work of a simple matter. One day, I went to Washington to present some accounting evidence to a government bureau. I had been out of town before during this particular dry spell, so there was nothing new about that. Physically, I felt fine. Neither did I have any pressing problems or worries. My business came off well. I was pleased and knew my partners would be too. It was the end of a perfect day, not a cloud on the horizon. So everything's going great. I went to my hotel and leisurely dressed for dinner. As I crossed the threshold of the dining room, the thought came to my mind that it would be nice to have a couple of cocktails with dinner. That damn stinking thinking. That was all. Nothing more. I ordered a cocktail at my meal. Then I ordered another one. After dinner, I decided to take a walk. When I returned to the hotel, it struck me a highball would be fine before going to bed. So I stepped into the bar and had one. I remember having several more that night and plenty the next morning. I have a shadowy recollection of being in the airplane bound for New York and of finding a friendly taxicab driver at the landing field. The driver escorted me for several days. I know little of where I went or what I said and did. Then came the hospital with unbearable mental and physical suffering. As soon as I regained my ability to think, I went carefully over the evening. Not only had I been off guard, I had made no fight whatsoever against the first drink. This time, I had not thought of the consequences at all. I had commenced to drink as carelessly as though the cocktails were ginger ale. I now remembered what my alcoholic friends had told me, how they prophesied that if I had an alcoholic mind, the time and place would come, I would drink again. They had said that though I did raise a defense, it would one day give away before some trivial reason for having a drink. Well, just that happened and more, for what I had learned of alcoholism did not occur to me at all. I knew from that moment that I had an alcoholic mind. I saw that willpower and self-knowledge would not help in those strange mental blank spots. I had never been able to understand people who said that a problem had them hopelessly defeated. I knew then it was a crushing blow. 2 of the members of Alcoholics Anonymous came to see me. They grinned, which I didn't like so much, and then they asked me if I thought myself alcoholic and if I were really licked this time. I had to concede both propositions. They piled on me heaps of evidence to the effect that an alcoholic mentality such as I had exhibited was a hopeless condition. They cited cases out of their own experience by the dozens. This process snuffed out the last flicker of conviction that I could do the job myself. Then they outlined the spiritual answer and program of action, which 100 of them had followed successfully. Though I had been only a nominal churchman, their proposals were not intellectually hard to swallow. But the program of action, though entirely sensible, was pretty drastic. It meant I would have to throw several lifelong conceptions out the window. Everything has to change. That was not easy. But the moment I made up my mind to go through this process, I had the curious feeling that my alcoholic condition was relieved, as in fact it proved to be. Quite as important as the discovery that spiritual principles would solve all my problems. I have since been brought into a way of living infinitely more satisfying, and I hope more useful than the life I lived before. My old manner of life was by no means a bad one, but I would not exchange its best moments for the worst I have now. I would not go back to it even if I could. So, he went out and drank, figured out, damn, I can't do this on my own. Some people from AA came to visit him, taught him what he needed to do, and started taking him through the steps, the action, doing the action, okay? And he started living his life by spiritual principles, okay? And now he's sober. Fred's story speaks for itself. We hope it strikes home to thousands like him. He had felt only the first nip of the ringer. Most alcoholics have to be pretty badly mangled before they really commence to solve their problems. Many doctors and psychiatrists agree with our conclusion. One of these men, staff member of the world-renowned hospital, recently made this statement to some of us. What you say about the general hopelessness of the average alcoholic's plight is, in my opinion, correct. As 2 of you men whose stories I have heard, there is no doubt in my mind that you were 100% hopeless apart from divine help. Do you hear that? 100% hopeless apart from something greater than them, divine help. Had you have offered yourselves as patients at this hospital, I would not have taken you if I had been able to avoid it. People like you are too heartbreaking. Though not a religious person, I have profound respect for the spiritual approach in such cases as yours. For most cases, there is virtually no other solution. Once more, the alcoholic at certain times has no effective mental defense against the first drink. Except in a few rare cases, neither he nor any other human being can provide such a defense. His defense must come from a higher power. That's it. That's the chapter. We did it. Okay. So, Questions, comments, concerns. Let's talk about it. All right. So a lot of you guys have never even cracked open a book, the big book. Okay. I know a lot of you guys don't even know about the 12 steps, right? I think that working the 12 steps can save your life. Okay. Save your life and help you change your life. Okay. I use the 12 steps in my daily life every single day. Do I go to AA meetings anymore? No. Am I a member of Alcoholics Anonymous? I go to MARA. I'm a member of MARA now. But the 12 steps anybody can work them. Even people that are not addicts or alcoholics, and it will help you change your life forever. I have learned how to be a better person. It's just helped me so much to heal on the inside. It's helped me so much to change my priorities and my perception. It has helped me so much to be able to help other people. But I didn't get here by just doing nothing. I got my ass busy and started putting in work. I took action, you guys. I have worked my butt off to get to where I'm at today and stay sober. Okay? I had people that supported me and helped me. I did counseling. I did 12 steps. I did self-help books, everything. But what happened for me was I had an experience. I had a moment where something happened and my mind was clear then. When I was in treatment and I got busted taking Xanax, and they told me, if you don't get sober, you're going to die. If you don't get sober, you're going to lose custody of your son. When I heard that, everything made sense. Everything made sense. I realized that I was hurting everyone around me, not just myself. It was so clear. It was written on the wall in front of me, that I was my own worst enemy. I was the one who was killing myself. You guys, I can't explain it, dude. It was so eye-opening. It was a miracle. I had tried for years to get sober. Years, okay? Years. I have been in and out of AA and NA and CA and all the A's, okay? It wasn't until I had this moment of clarity that I finally was able to change, okay? I place the principles of Alcoholics Anonymous in my everyday life. I try to treat others with respect. I make sure that I'm being of service to other addicts and alcoholics. That is how I stay sober. That is what helps me. I make sure that I have a connection with a power greater than myself, my higher power, okay? I make sure that I pray every morning and every night. I make sure that I don't go around people that are drinking and using drugs. I make sure that I constantly educate myself on the disease of addiction. I make sure that I'm constantly helping others. It's like a constant, and I never let up. A lot of people ask me, they're like, Nicole, why don't you give yourself a break and just chill out sometime? You guys, I cannot just chill out. I cannot let up on my recovery, because if I let up on my recovery, I will relapse. I have done it time and time again, so many times, and I know the outcome. I know the outcome if I pause, I know the outcome if I do not stay diligent. You understand what I'm saying, guys? And so that's why I wanted to bring a big book study to you guys and share out of the big book with you guys. And I hope that, I hope it helped you guys. I hope that it made a difference for your evening this evening. If there's something that you have a question about, you can ask me anything. I want to implore you, really stress to you guys that, trying to work a 12-step program is awesome. Try to find you somebody that will work with you and do sponsor with you. Go to a meeting in your town and reach out to another addict or alcoholic and see if they will work with you, work you through the steps. For those of you guys that are on medication-assisted treatment, don't worry about the judgment of others or what other people say. There are people in these 12-step programs that want to help you. Okay, this is my advice to my MAT people, my people on medication-assisted treatment. Your medication and what you take for your sobriety is between you and God, okay, and your doctor. All right, you get yourself somebody to work you through the steps. That's what they're there for. They're there to take you through the program. All right, and so that's what you want. That's what you want. You want to find somebody that will take you through the program, okay, and take you through these steps. It'll be the best thing you ever did, you guys. I'm telling you right now. I'm telling you, I'm so grateful that I did it. I have worked so hard. I've went through all the steps 3 or 4 times. I've done 4 steps with my sponsor. I have, and I'm telling you, every single time I get more and more help and healing out of it. Every time I sit down and I do, you know, my inventory at night. Y'all know that I do that at night, right? Here, let me get it out. At night, okay? Yeah, if you're on medication, it's nobody's business, okay? That's how you solve that problem. When people, you know, are telling you, like, I went to a meeting and I'm on Suboxone and nobody would sponsor me. You guys, do you think that people in Alcoholics Anonymous go around and tell people what medications they're on? No. Do you think that my sponsor, she told me she takes Xanax, okay? Because she has really bad anxiety. She's been sober, though, for 35 years, okay? So do you think she, like, needs to tell people that she's on Xanax for her anxiety? No, she takes it as prescribed, and that's all that matters. You know, I think we put so much into what other people think of our recovery, and that we want validation from them. You know, you don't need validation from anybody. Just get into a program and start working the steps. I promise you it'll change your life. You'll love it. You'll love it. So let's talk about the inventory. So every night before I go to bed, this is what I do. Y'all want to hear it? Okay, let's go. When we retire at night, we constructively review our day. Were we resentful, selfish, dishonest, or afraid? Do we owe an apology? Have we kept something to ourselves which should be discussed with another person at once? Were we kind and loving towards all? What could we have done better? Were we thinking of ourselves most of the time, or were we thinking of what we could do for others, of what we could pack into the stream of life? But we must be careful not to drift into worry, remorse, or morbid reflection, for that would diminish our usefulness to others. After making our review, we ask God's forgiveness and inquire what corrective measures should be taken. That's what I do at night. I go through that little checklist, and, you know, did I tell you guys, like, it was probably like last week when I came out about it. Last week we did my little meditation that I just shared with you guys, and I told everybody that I have been holding a resentment against 2 girls here, 3 people here on TikTok. 2 girls that were making mean videos about me, and 1 guy that was making videos about me. And so I told you guys that here I was going to start praying for those people, and that every night I was going to pray that those people got everything that I wanted for myself and more, okay? And that hopefully by praying for them, that it would take that resentment away. Well, guess what happened? I have let it go. I am no longer checking to see if they're making videos about me. I blocked them, and I moved on, and I forgive them. And I realize that some people are just sicker than others. When someone is making or saying mean things to you, it's not about you, okay? It takes a lot of mean and evilness to go out of somebody's way to say horrible things to another human being. And when somebody's doing that to you, you guys, it's because they feel horrible about themselves on the inside. Okay? It's because they're upset with themselves. It has nothing to do with you. And that's what I had to realize. I had to realize that these people who were making videos about me, it wasn't about me. It was about them. It was about their shortcomings, you know? It was about their flaws and the things that they're unhappy about, not me, you know? Yes, nicotine is hard, man. And I tell you this, my friend, I smoked cigarettes for 17 years. When I got sober in 2015, I was outside, I think it was like 2016 or 2017. I was outside and I was smoking a cigarette. And my son, he was like 3 or 4, came out there and he picked one of my cigarette butts off the ground. And he said, "Look, Mommy, I'm smoking." It was that day that I quit cigarettes, and I have not looked back since. So sometimes we just need something that is great enough to make us want to quit. Hey, Dave, what's up? And for me, it was my son, you know, my son mimicking me. And so find something like that makes you want to change, because that's what will help you sober up off of the nicotine. That's what will help you get off nicotine, is finding something else to focus on, you know? So, yeah. And sometimes, you guys, when you're in early recovery and you're smoking, I mean, give yourself a break, okay? You've quit so much, all right? You're doing so well, all right? So don't beat yourself up, okay, guys? So I really want you guys to know that I love doing this with y'all. We will try to do this, I think tomorrow night is Sunday. So on the weekends, you guys, this is what we're going to start doing. Hey, Beamer, on the weekends, we're going to start doing these AA recovery readings, these big book studies. So we'll do them on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, all right? I did reach out to some creators about coming to share their stories next week, so I'm looking forward to that. I hope you guys are too. I really want you guys to help me out, though. Like I'm telling you guys, TikTok is not showing you guys my videos. I'm going to have myself an ice cream cone. So if you guys would please go through my videos and watch my videos, because TikTok is not showing them to y'all. I have uploaded like 10 videos. And they're like, nobody's watching them. And so please go watch my videos. Also, I did hydros for a while, but then I graduated up to something, to Roxy's. I've done all opiates. Heroin, Roxy's, fentanyl. I've done it all, honey. I've done it all. So did y'all enjoy tonight? Did y'all like it? I hope y'all liked it. I had a good time doing it with y'all. See, we're learning together. We're learning together. Oh, crap. Woohoo! And that's just what we'll do. Every weekend, we'll do this together. And like I said, I'm not the end-all be-all to recovery, but I try to do a good job for y'all. And my heart is in the right place. So, you know, that's what it's all about. If you have pure intentions and you really want to help people, you can do it. Sometimes I wonder when people come in here. I know, Verge. I know. TikTok's not showing anybody my stuff. I know. It really sucks. I'm really upset about it, honestly. I thought people used to make it up about being shadow banned, but they don't. It's the truth. TikTok, what they do is they pick some creators that they like, and they push their content. Thank you, guys. So, what should I make videos about? Really, Verge? That pisses me off, y'all. Well, I go live every night. Okay? Every night, guys. So, please come and hang out. Now, let's say a quick little goodnight prayer, okay? Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for bringing us together tonight and letting us all fellowship and learn about addiction together. I pray that everyone in this chat has an amazing night's sleep. I pray that everybody stays sober, stays strong. I hope everybody knows that They are worthy and they deserve recovery. And if they're struggling and they haven't been able to get sober, to keep trying and never give up. Amen. Okay. Never get up, y'all. Never give up. This is caramel. And like I said, you guys, if you don't believe in God, that's okay. I'm not trying to push it on you or anything. I just, you know. Amen, brothers and sisters. So, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I will upload this video on YouTube. For those of you guys that don't follow me on YouTube, go check out my channel. It's Real Talk Recovery with Nicole. Click the link in my bio and you can join our Facebook group. What else? If you want to do recovery coaching with me, you can click the link in my bio and join my Patreon. Follow me on Instagram. And keep up with me. Okay, guys. So, please send me some ideas of videos you guys want me to make. Okay? Check out my my video from last night. I asked you guys to drop some ideas in the comment section of videos you guys want me to make. Also, as soon as we hit 100,000, as soon as we hit 100,000 followers, I'm doing another $100 giveaway. So if you guys don't mind, help share my stuff, help me get to 100K, and then we're going to do a $100 giveaway. And it'll only be for the people that are following me. So you have to follow me to be able to win. And we're at, I think, 92 right now. So I have like 8K to go. Mental health and recovery support. Okay. Okay, Nicole. Good idea. And here's the thing, you guys, like, I work really hard to make sure that I do these recovery support group meetings. If you guys don't enjoy them, I won't do them. You know what I mean? Let me know if you actually get something out of these meetings. If you do get something out of these meetings and you enjoy them, okay? Please invite people. Let them know, hey, Nicole does a live stream every night at 7:30. And it's a recovery live stream and we actually learn stuff. Invite those people to join us. Okay? Hey, Kevin. You live in Southwest Little Rock? Let me see. What's up, dude? I just followed you. You depend on them? Oh, that makes me so happy. Okay, so if you guys enjoy them and they help you, I need you to go watch my videos then. Because for some reason, TikTok is holding me back. And nobody's seeing my content. And it's really discouraging. Okay? Okay. All right. Good night, my dears. I love you guys. I'll see y'all tomorrow night. Same time, same place. Good job, Intrusive Love.